Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. It has been a while, but to be honest with all of you, there really hasn't been a whole lot worth talking about over the last handful of weeks. However, there is a brand new report that surfaced recently that apparently a brand new Marvel's Avengers game might be in the works, and today we're going to sit down, we're going to break it all down, we're going to analyze it, we're going to talk about it. But first, if you're new to the channel, we would love to have you as always, and the way to do that, just go down below this video, hit that little subscribe button, the bell notification right on next to it. It will notify you every single time that Andreas and I upload. And if you would like to take this conversation beyond the comment section on YouTube, make sure to head over to Twitter and follow us at Lunar Squadron, or jump into our Discord server. All of the information for that will be down below. Now, with all of that out of the way, Andreas, are you ready to talk about apparently a new Marvel's Avengers game?
Oh yeah, let's do this, guys.
All right, Andreas, so I think it's no secret that the biggest thing in Marvel gaming right now is, of course, Marvel Rivals. It is taking the world by storm. We love it. Everyone seems to love it. And we know that there are a ton of upcoming confirmed games in the next few years for Marvel. We have Rise of Hydra, the Black Panther game, the Blade game, the Iron Man game eventually. Like, there are a bunch of Marvel games coming, but apparently we can add another one to the list.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Wolverine, but in addition to all of those, we also now apparently, and take this with a large grain of speculation, guys, but there is apparently a Marvel's Avengers game in the works. And I'm not talking about any Crystal Dynamics Avengers game. I'm talking about a completely separate Marvel's Avengers game. And this rumor comes by way of industry insider Daniel Richtman, and unfortunately we do not have his original post here because it was posted in his Patreon, which is behind a paywall. But there have been several comic book publications that have been republishing what he reportedly stated on his Patreon, which is that this Marvel's Avengers game is coming and it's not developed by Crystal Dynamics or being published by Square Enix. So Nick, if this game isn't coming from Crystal Dynamics and it's not associated with the Marvel's Avengers game that we all know and maybe don't love but kind of tolerate, where do we think this game's coming from?
You know, it is funny that you say the word tolerate, because I think that is exactly how I feel about Marvel's Avengers, because I think going into that game being released, I just remember how excited I was because I've wanted an Avengers game for so long, and I still really want another Avengers game, and I feel like I've forced myself to find some sort of enjoyment in that game just because it's the only type of modern Avengers game we have since, I don't know, like Ultimate Alliance or something like that. So to see a report that a new Avengers game might be coming has me incredibly excited, and honestly, that game would skyrocket pretty high to the top of my most anticipated games list. Now, what is interesting is that, of course, it is not apparently associated with Crystal Dynamics at all. So really the question is, Andreas, who would we like to see be responsible for the creation of this game? There are a lot of great studio options out there. And now, of course, just because it's not associated with Crystal Dynamics doesn't mean that Square Enix won't be involved at all as a publisher, because honestly, one studio that I would like to see get a shot at this game is Eidos Montreal. Of course, they are the ones who developed Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and to be honest with all of you, I think that game is one of the most underrated games of the past 10 years. I really love that game. It is one of my most favorite games from the past 10 years. It was a really fun game, and I think that studio did a really good job of handling the team up dynamic of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and just the gameplay was so fun, and there were so many great team up moments that I remember that I will never forget from playing that game. So they are one of the studios that immediately comes to mind of I would like to see them get a second chance, because the Guardians of the Galaxy game simply did not really perform well at the market. Even though it was critically received very highly, it just didn't perform. So doesn't sound like they will ever get a second chance at the Guardians of the Galaxy IP. So I would like to see that studio get a second chance and maybe get the Avengers IP.
You know, Nick, I think that's a really interesting prospect. And after you brought that up, I did a little digging to see exactly how the Guardians of the Galaxy game was received, because I didn't have a clear picture or clear recollection of the history of sales following the release of that game. And apparently, just after the game released, Square Enix came out and said that the game flat out just underperformed. That's the way that they characterized it. But then, after a while, they did some remediary measures to actually get this game into more gamers' hands. They included it on PlayStation Plus Extra and also included it on Xbox Game Pass, which I think may have turned things around and gotten the game in front of more people, but it still wasn't that marketed success that they wanted. I honestly think there could be a chance that this team could work with an Avengers IP that might give them that extra bit of sales power that they need to really make a splash with a new game, because they showed that they had the stuff. They were able to secure pretty decent reviews, Metacritic hovering around 80, a lot of 8 out of 10s or 8.5 out of 10s on a lot of reputable review sources. So they have the stuff, but do they have the marketing, and are they able to bring in an audience and really sell copies? I think that's really the question. And I think putting the Avengers title on it might just be the thing that they need to do that.
Yeah, it really could be. And I think what makes it so hard to think about what studio I would really like to pinpoint for making a game like this is just the overall scope of this game and like what it could be. And what I mean by that is, would this be something that would be MCU adjacent? Because there were some kind of shady reports over the last few years that like perhaps Marvel was looking at making a MCU adjacent game, and like, could this be that game? Could they be making an MCU Avengers game? So then like you have to stick with that team that exists in the MCU. Or if not, if it's like another original story like Crystal Dynamics, you could just kind of do whatever you want. And there's so many different iterations of the Avengers team and so many members of it. Like, it could blow up so fast, so huge, to such a huge character roster. So like those types of conversations and details would really need to be more refined before having a good idea as to what exact studio, or studios you would like to see involved with a game like this, just because there's so many different directions you could take with an Avengers game. But I really do think Eidos Montreal would be good, because I just really enjoyed their team up game, and they already have succeeded within the Marvel universe, so they just feel like a natural fit. But of course, that's just my opinion. So guys, let us know all of your thoughts down below. What do you think about this report? Do you think that there is in fact a new Avengers game in the works? Is that something you would even want? Who would you like to see it developed by? What type of scope would you like to see this game take? Like, who would you like to see on the character roster? Would you like to see a more contained roster, or would you like to see everybody? Just a huge game. Just let us know all your thoughts down below, because we really are in the early stages of what this potentially could be, and it really could be anything. So we're just interested to hear what you guys all have to say. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for us for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.